Hi friends, my name is Maruti and I'm the co-founder of Cracku. In this video, I'll be discussing all the important formulas that are needed for simple and compound interest. This is a fairly straightforward topic and questions from this topic are often asked in MBA exams like CAT and XAT. Let us first look at the important formulas. The important formula in simple interest is that if you are given a principal, if you are given a time period and a rate of return, the simple interest on that principal is principal P into the time period T into rate of interest R divided by 100. Here note that R is basically given as a percentage. For example, if you are told that 1000 rupees are invested in simple interest for 3 years and the rate of interest is at 20%. Now here R is equal to 20. If you are told that this is 20%, you have to take R to be 20 and divide it by 100. This is the simple interest on 1000 rupees for 3 years at the rate of interest of 20% per annum. This will be equal to 600. Now the difference between simple interest and compound interest is that interest that is generated or the interest that is accrued over a year is added back to the principal. That is, in this case, for example, 1000 rupees in the first year it generates an interest of 200. Now the principal for the second year in simple interest will remain 1000 and it will again generate an interest of 200. For the third year again the principal is 1000 and the interest generated is again 200. Like we have seen, the sum of these three 200s is equal to 600. In the case of compound interest, the interest generated in the first year is added back to the principal. That is, in compound interest, when the principal is 1000, the interest generated in the first year will be 200, which is exactly same as the interest generated in simple interest. But now this 200 is added back to the principal and the principal for the second year will be 1200. This will generate an interest of 1200 into 1 year into 20 divided by 100. This is the compound interest generated for the second year. This will be equal to 240. And for the third year, the principal will be 1200 plus 240, which is 1440. And this will generate an interest of, you can cancel, 288. This is the difference between simple interest and compound interest. Let us look at the formula for the compound interest. Compound interest that is generated for a time period of T at a rate of interest of R is equal to P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power T minus P. And the amount which is equal to the interest generated plus the principal in compound interest will be P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power T. This is the amount in compound interest. In simple interest, it will be principal P plus P into T into R divided by 100. In the example that we have seen, the amount at the end of the third year will be 1440 plus 288, which is 1728. Using this formula, the principal is 1000 into 1 plus the rate of interest is 20 divided by 100 whole cube. This is 1.2 whole cube. 1.2 whole cube is 1.728 into 1000. This is equal to 1728. Now for the same principal and positive rate of interest and time period, the amount of interest that is generated on compound interest is always greater than or equal to that of simple interest. If the time period is 1, the equality will hold. If the time period is greater than 1, the compound interest will be definitely greater than the simple interest. To understand this concept better, let us solve some questions. Let us first look at the first question. A certain sum of money invested in simple interest becomes twice itself in 5 years. So the amount is twice the principal. If you are assuming that the principal is P, the amount is twice the principal. So the simple interest, which is equal to amount minus principal, will be 2P minus P, which is equal to P. We know the formula for simple interest, that is principal into time period into rate of return divided by 100 is equal to P. The time period is 5 years. So P into 5 into R divided by 100 is equal to P. Or the rate of return R is 20%. What are we asked to calculate? In how many more years does the amount become 10 times itself? Now if the amount is 10 times the principal, the simple interest, which is equal to amount minus principal, is equal to 9 times the principal. For what time period at a rate of return of 20% will this become 9 times the principal? Again, principal into time into the interest is 20 by 100, that is 20%. is equal to 9p, or the time period t will be 9 into 5, which is 45 years. This is the total time that it takes. But what we are asked is how many more years it takes. After 5 years, the amount is twice. After 45 years, the amount is 10 times itself. So the difference, or the how many more years, will be 45 minus the initial 5 years, which is 40 years. So the answer for this question is option B. Let us look at another question. Ajay invests ₹1000 for 10 years at a simple interest of 10% per annum. Every subsequent year, he adds ₹100 less than the previous year. That is, he adds 900, 800 and so on at the same interest rate. What is the total amount of money he will receive at the end of 10 years? So the first 1000 that he invests for 10 years and the rate of return is 10%. This is the simple interest on that amount. This is equal to ₹1000. This is the simple interest. The next year he invests ₹900. And how many years does this 900 accrue interest for? It is invested for only 9 years because this is invested after 1 year. Rate of interest is the same, 10%. So the interest on this is 810. The next year he invests ₹800 for 8 years. The rate of interest is again 10 by 100. So the amount that he gets is 640. This is the interest. Similarly, we can calculate the total interest. The total interest will be the total simple interest will be equal to 1000 plus 810 plus 640 plus dot dot dot, which is, if you are taking 10 common, this is 100 plus 81 plus 64 plus 49 plus dot 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 till 1. We know the sum of the squares of natural numbers. The sum of the squares of natural numbers till n, that is 1 square plus 2 square plus dot 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 till n square, is equal to n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 divided by 6. So this sum is equal to 10 into the value of n is 10, 10 into 11 into 21 divided by 6. 210 divided by 6 is 35. This is equal to 3850. What is the total amount that is invested? The total amount that is invested is 1000 plus 900 plus 800 plus dot 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 plus 100. This is equal to 100 times 1 plus 2 plus dot 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 till 10. What is the value of 1 plus 2 plus dot 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 till 10? This is equal to 55. So the total amount that is invested is 5500. The total interest that is accrued is 3850. So the total amount that you will receive at the end of 10 years is 5500 plus 3850, which is equal to 9350. So the answer for this question is 9350. Let us look at the next question. In this question, we are told that on a sum invested at a certain rate of interest, which is compounded annually, the interest accrued in the first 2 years and that in the first 3 years is 630 and 993 respectively. We are asked to calculate what the rate of interest is. We know that in compound interest, the amount at the end of n years is p into 1 plus r whole to the power n. So the interest, the compound interest, is equal to amount minus principal. So in this case, if you are told that the compound interest after 2 years is 630, it would imply that 630 is equal to p into 1 plus r whole square minus p. Similarly, the compound interest for 3 years is given. This is 993. So 993 is equal to p into 1 plus r whole cube minus p. We can subtract one equation from the other. So 363 is equal to p into 1 plus r whole cube minus p into 1 plus r whole square. Here we can take p into 1 plus r whole square common, and this will be 1 plus r minus 1, which is equal to r. Or 363 is p into 1 plus r whole square into r. This is 363, this is 630. We can divide one equation by the other equation. So 363 divided by 630 is equal to r into 1 plus r whole square divided by 1 plus r whole square minus 1. We have just cancelled p in the numerator and in the denominator. This is equal to 1 plus r whole square divided by r plus 2. So 1 plus r whole square divided by r plus 2 is 363 divided by 630. We can divide the numerator and denominator with 3. This is equal to 121 divided by 210. If you expand this, you are going to get a quadratic equation which you can solve to find out the value of r. Or if you just look at the numerator, this is 121. This is 1 plus r whole square. This is 210. This is r plus 2. This 121 divided by 210 can be simplified to equal 1.21 divided by 2.10. We have just divided the numerator and denominator with 100. This is equal to 1 plus r whole square divided by r plus 2. When you look at 121 or you look at 1.21, the first thing you should get is that it is the square of 11 or the square of 1.1. So if you substitute the value of r to be equal to 0.1, 1 plus r will be 1.1, whole square will be 1.21, r plus 2 will be 2.1. So you will notice that this equation is satisfied. If you are not able to guess it, you can just cross multiply over here. You will get a quadratic equation in r which you can solve to get the value of r to be equal to 0.1. Anyway, the answer for this question is 10%, which is 0.1. Let us look at the next question. In this question, we are told that the difference between the compound interest and the simple interest on a certain sum borrowed at r% per annum for 2 years is 384. We know that the amount in compound interest for a period of n years is p into 1 plus r whole to the power n. Therefore, the compound interest, which is equal to amount minus principal, can be calculated. So compound interest for 2 years is 384. That is, the compound interest is equal to, for 2 years, 1 plus r whole square, p into 1 plus r whole square minus p. And the simple interest for 2 years is equal to 2pr. The difference between these two is given. This is 384. So 384 is equal to p into 1 plus r whole square minus p minus 2pr, which when you simplify is equal to pr square. Similarly, for 3 years, the compound interest is equal to p into 1 plus r whole cube minus p, and the simple interest is equal to 3pr. The difference between these two is given. This is equal to 1344. This is equal to p into 1 plus r whole cube minus p minus 3pr. This is equal to pr cube plus 3pr square. We know the value of pr square, that is 384. So what is the value of 3pr square? This is equal to 3 into 384. What is the value of 3 into 384? This is 2511. This is equal to 3pr square. So the value of pr cube can be calculated. The value of pr cube is equal to 1344 minus 1152, which is equal to 192. You can divide pr cube with pr square. So the value of r is equal to 1 by 2, or this is equal to 50%. What we are asked to calculate is the time it takes for the sum to become 6 times itself in simple interest. If the amount is 6 times itself, the simple interest that is generated, which is equal to amount minus principal, is equal to 5p. So 5p is equal to principal p into rate of return, which is 50 by 100 or 1 by 2, into the time it takes, which is t. This is 1 by 2. You can cancel p on both sides, and the value of t is equal to 10 years. So the answer for this question is option B.